All right, everyone. Well, welcome back to Hoop to Holler with Dylan Walrus, aka the B-Ball Study Hall. I am actually out today on the blacktop. I'm sitting under a dugout right now. It's a
Oh,
beautiful
nice.
park near where I live.
There you go,
Yeah,
brother.
man. And beautiful sunny day here in Los Angeles. How are you doing, man? Sorry about the sound. Got a little aluminum kicking up
Uh,
there. If you can
you
hear that,
sound
hopefully not.
good, Wally, and you look like a man that is getting his heart pumping, his blood flowing,
That's right,
and
man.
La La Land committed with the AR closing and a draft.
Yes, we'll definitely be talking about that.
Yeah, good to see you out in the sun, dude. Looking good. And I
Appreciate it.
wore this one of my favorite draft
How
picks.
about that?
That in the end, I guess this is the definition a little bit of yeah, a miss. I would say just like his shot coming out of
Fortunately,
UCLA. Yeah, but man, I loved his
yeah,
vision. I
shout
thought I
out to
thought
Lonzo Ball for
yeah,
sure.
I thought he was gonna be a dude, and I think he had the vision to be a dude, but the knees maybe not so much. A little Brandon Roy that never
Yeah.
really hit, but
That was full. I think
yeah,
Magic kind of jinxed it when he's like, all right, where's your number going to go on the walls here with all the other retired numbers? Even Lonzo Ball was looking at him like, okay, dude,
no
like
pressure, huh?
maybe
Well, that's
slow
how
down a little bit. But
that's how bad I am at the draft, Wally. I thought that might happen. I thought he was gonna be the truth. I thought he was gonna be really, really
me
legitimate.
too, man.
Maybe a
Yeah, and
little
triple doubles
stuffy.
in college, what way he did, and they needed a point guard. Let's
Yeah.
talk about this draft that went down yesterday, at least the first round. So, like what I was saying before we got started, I'm not going to lie. I'm not exactly the most versed when it comes to the NBA draft and college basketball, but I've definitely been, doing a little checking in, the past couple days, anticipating our B-ball study hall today. And I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it's going to be this like incredibly deep draft class that everyone's been talking
Hmm.
about. It
You
certainly
don't think
can
so?
be.
Huh.
I just don't get that impression. I don't get that feeling. I could be completely wrong. But they're definitely, those first four guys, off the top, look real legit,
Yeah.
especially AJ DeBonsa. I don't know, how many clips you've seen of that guy. I can't say I've watched BYU games, but yeah, that dude looks he looks like the real deal. And what I really like about him is his attitude. He's got
Yeah.
like, that, if you will, that kind of humble confidence.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's the man, but he knows he needs to work to be the man. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty obvious pick at one. Darren Peterson, I mean, he was getting high praise by Kenny Smith.
Yeah.
That he's like,
Everybody.
this elite scorer. We'll see. I thought what went down with him this year in Kansas, was a bit discouraging in terms of not being able to stay on the court. I think Cam Boozer, he's the most sure thing in the draft, in my opinion, as good as AJ DeBonsa is. Cam Boozer, he's
Fun.
got that NBA pedigree. Dukies tend to do pretty well in the NBA. And then I believe it was Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina at
Yeah.
4.
Off the top.
Um, yeah, you look
The
like a
Bulls.
solid player. But for
Yeah.
me, I got to get out there because this is, and we were texting about it. The fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder just lost to the San Antonio Spurs, primarily because they didn't have an answer for Wemby,
Yep.
right? Where are you at, Chet? We're still looking for you, Chet. The
Yeah.
fact that
For
they
sure.
got who I think is the best center in this draft,
Yeah.
7'3" dude, just won the national championship, a day. Amara. Are you freaking kidding me, dude? Are you kidding me, dude? That's who got that guy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I think he's going to be the guy coming out of this draft. I was saying so earlier today, right? I think 5 years
Yeah.
down the line, he's going to be the guy everyone's going to look at and be like, you got to be kidding me. They got that guy outside the top 10. Ridiculous. What are your thoughts about the draft?
Your reaction sounds like, when 29 other teams hear that Luca got traded at midnight with on a closed
Yeah,
market.
sure.
Add Stitz to
You'll never
add,
let that go, man.
I, I just like your reaction over Mara, who I don't can
It's just so
is
funny.
is he tall? Does he have a 9 foot 9 inch standing reach? Yes. Can he kind of shoot it? Yeah. Can he pass? I don't know. He's size. Yeah. So if you're loading with Vic, but Stitz is the other guy. They took two. You remember that Iowa kid, a little white point guard
Mm-hmm.
that can kind of shoot it and sling it. OKC traded for him as well. That one,
I'm sure he'll be good.
that's kind of what I think, Wally, and that's kind of what I lend. Let's go through the top ones though. So I think we're pretty aligned. AJ Debansa has the frame, right? And he's going to the Wizards. So if you have healthy street clothes and you just signed Trey Young, I don't know if you saw his contract, pretty substantial. What do you think about the
Yes.
Wizards? What do you think about the
Yeah.
Wizards? This is not. I'll caveat it with this. I'm with you. I think Boozer was the pick to be had. AJ, I think, had the frame, and I would have taken him over Darren Peterson as well. How do you feel for the Wizards right now?
I mean, definitely looking up. I mean, it's kind of, you had the number one overall pick in the
Yeah,
draft, so there's like really no other way to go except
yeah,
up. And it's going to be really health dependent, as it always is with every team in any sport. If Trey Young can stay on the court, he's
yeah.
a guy who can put up 20, 25 a night. He's also
Maybe not
really good
efficiently.
assist man.
Yeah,
He
good
doesn't
assist.
get enough credit for that. The guy led, the nation when he was at Oklahoma in points and assists. I can't recall the last guy who did that before him, but that's a rare thing. Um, and also, interestingly enough, the last freshman who led the nation scoring before AJ. Now they're
He was
both on the same
Pistol
team.
Pete. I think the last guy to do is Pistol Pete, by the way, for history. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we can go down the whole Trey thing. I just
I think
yeah,
they have play-in level talent now.
yeah.
Maybe they
Okay.
could sneak
Plan.
into, a sixth spot depending on how things shake out in the East. But I think they have enough talent now to, be
Yeah.
knocking on the door on the
It's
playoffs.
it's interesting because his comp is your guy LeBron. That's who, I've
Yeah.
heard the physical specimen that he could be. And then you got your guy the Brow AD if he
Hmm.
can be on the court. So kind
Yeah.
of interesting there. And then Darren Peterson was the guy, and you kind of mentioned it. So he had a weird year at Kansas. Had this supposed injury thing where he's cramping up, but had some DNPs or he'd take himself out of games. And he's a self entitled introvert. I don't know if you watch the
I
post
did.
game interview
I
stuff.
like that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do too, and I use the word humble professional for AJ. That's what I see with Cameron Boozer. So I think you and
Yes.
I are both aligned. The weird thing, I thought the Jazz would go AJ or Cameron Boozer, and just say again, I'm high on the Jazz. I have this pick with VP and maybe with yourself too, or this bet. I
Hmm.
think the Jazz could be better than the Lakers this year. So the fact that they leaned into Darren Peterson
Possibly.
with Ainge as good as he is with the draft in the past, not taking Ball and taking Tatum, right? Moving down to three and getting capital, and then also taking Tatum, as one thing that he's done in the past. So they believe
Yeah.
in him, and now they've got the size up front, and they've got this guard play with him and also Ace Bailey last year, and then Cameron Boozer. So Cameron Boozer for Memphis, plug and play there, and then
Yeah.
Chicago taking Caleb Wilson. So I'm a little confused with the Jazz pick. I guess Wally is. I'm saying all that just to say that because I think they're going to be good this year. But if they believe in this guy, the weird thing is like everything I've listened to is they're going back to high school film to give excuse to how bad his college season was, and that just seems like a
Hmm.
flag. But I
It's
guess if
concerning.
you're
I agree.
if you're a freaking, I watched him play a little bit in college, and for sure he's like to me, he kind of reminded me of Kawhi Leonard, like just smooth wing, could defend, big shoulders, not as built yet, but that could be coming, and a really really nice jumper, and that's what all the scouts say is NBA shot creation. But I think Cameron
Yeah.
Boozer is the best defender and maybe the best passer, and maybe like Joker light, potential. So I like that pick there, the one
Me
through
too.
four. But I like that. Yeah, OKC with your length and with Stitz, I think that's going to be really interesting. Um, the other one I wanted to ask you
Mm.
about a little bit. What do you think about your Laker pick? So we'll go all the way
I
down there.
like
You
it.
guys, you guys
Yeah, the
traded.
kid from Baylor,
Yeah,
Cam.
I had to look him up. Yeah,
He's got some
I,
great highlights, man. He's got some great highlights.
Cameron Carr, kind of small, six
Cameron
six
Carr,
four.
that's the name,
Yeah,
right?
6'4", a
Big,
guard
big
from Baylor.
wingspan though,
Okay,
7'1" wingspan.
because that's what they're
So a
saying.
comp I was
Three and
seeing
D.
about him, yeah, which of course the Lakers need. Every team needs
Mhm.
it, but especially the Lakers, it's what I'm concerned about mostly. I was seeing comps like Devin Vassell,
Oh, okay,
maybe a poor man's version of Mikal Bridges because of that length, right?
okay,
In terms of his wingspan. So I mean, look, man, they got him with the 24th pick. They made the trade there with the Knicks to send the Knicks a little bit of cash.
yep,
Um, I mean, he's young, athletic. That's what the NBA is right now. The rookie from last year for the Lakers, Adu Thero, is a freaking freak.
is he going to get
If
any
they can develop
time?
those players,
Yeah, yeah. I
he
mean that's
got time in the playoffs. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I
yeah,
guess
no, they got to develop him, man. Look, I mean, this is why I'm so upset about what happened with Mara and
because
the
you think
Thunder.
he's gonna
The
matter right away.
Thunder, the Thunder are better at developing players than anyone in the league.
Yeah,
Like Wemby, Castle, Harper. Those dudes are ready to go day one, and they're
yeah.
going to continue to develop. And the Spurs have great player development. But I mean, come on, like the reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder are where they're at right now is because of their player evaluation and their player development. And it just they're gonna get that guy now to be able to pair him with Chet, so Chet's not gonna have to worry about Wemby anymore. I figure Hartenstein's probably gone
Well,
because they
that's
just are
going to
not
be
going
my
to be
question.
able.
Yeah, the dollars for
Yeah,
Hartenstein and
yeah,
Casey Wallace.
and that's why it's just so fortunate for them because now they're just gonna be able to slide this dude right
Yeah,
in,
but
that
Hartenstein
Twin Tower situation. So
Hart,
we'll see.
Hartenstein was vital. I think they retain him. I've heard a little that maybe he opts out and then they re-sign him if he wants to stay because his
I
shot
mean, if the
making.
dude's willing to take less, sure,
Yeah, I think they kind of got to keep him, Wally. I think he held up a lot
yeah,
better
of
against Wemby than Chet did.
course,
And then they've also moved off of they traded Wiggins, and then I've heard
yep,
whispers now maybe Isaiah Joe's out early. Obviously, they got McCain, AJ Mitchell's a scorer, so they have
yep,
depth there. But that's kind of the weird thing is like 2 years ago, those guys were good 3-and-D players, and
yeah.
they just moved off of them, so they're
It's an
reloading
embarrassment of riches with that team.
and cheaper, right? You get rookie contracts versus having
That's
to
right.
pay guys when you've already maxed out Dub and Chet and Shea. So yeah, the other one, Darius Acuff Jr. was a name that got thrown around at maybe sneaking in the top four, and he ended up falling down to the Kings at 7. The
Yeah,
Kings
I was actually
notoriously,
talking to someone. I was
yeah,
playing pickup here, not pickup. I was shooting around with his dad, and his son, and he
yeah,
brought him up, the guard from Arkansas. Yeah,
mhm,
that dude can fill it up. I remember catching a little bit of him in the tournament.
yeah. Kings notoriously kind of I don't know struggle to retain talent or
Yeah,
when they move off of them. Halliburton, then they start going nuts. I did say one thing that Cameron Boozer is the early pick for rookie of the year, and that's probably opportunity, right? In
rookie
Memphis,
of the year. Yeah.
he's gonna have more opportunity there. And if they do end up moving Jaw, there's a lot of whispers there. And yeah, so I
Hmm.
don't know. Pretty chalk, and you never know with the draft until we see it, right? Three to
Yep.
five years really before you see these guys actually playing. I Yeah, I think maybe your thought on OKC that might move the needle for the most contending team. I did hear that the
Yeah.
Spurs got some decent size as well with their picks. And I like I guess yeah, I'll just go back to it. I think the Jazz are going to be good, dude. And I think if they believe in Darren
It
Peterson,
could be
I'm excited to see that. I think it's going to be AJ or Boozer myself, but I hope to be proven wrong.
for sure.
Okay, what about Giannis, dude?
So that's what I was just about to
Yeah,
say. What's interesting about the draft is, of course, you always have these top names going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but some of these great players, are going a little farther down the line. And yeah, one guy by the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo went 15 overall, if my
good
memory
pronunciation, by
serves.
the way.
To yeah, I've worked on that over the years. To the Milwaukee Bucks, where of course he is no longer a player. He's now in Miami. I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah,
I think that they're improved with him for sure. But I think the Knicks still are better than
hmm
the Heat. If Jalen Brown stays with the Celtics and that team stays healthy, I think they're better than the Heat. If somehow Detroit can stay together, I think they're probably better than the Heat. So I would put the Heat right now at no better than fourth coming out of the East. Um, I mean, what are they going to be getting, going on the perimeter? I mean, Andrew Wiggins, he's a really good 3-and-D guy. He's starting to get long in the tooth. What's up there, little man? I saw those
yeah,
first steps the other day, by the way,
yeah.
dude.
Fresh,
That's awesome.
fresh.
Um,
Dude, you say hi to Walrus?
Bam, Mr. 83 points. Him and
Yeah,
Giannis could be an interesting combo in the post. I figure it's going to be Giannis with the ball in his hands, right? He's going to be the point forward like he was during his real glory years in Milwaukee. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. What would have been a huge deal is if they could have paired Ant with
yeah.
Giannis
That's what I was
in
kind of hoping. Yeah,
Minnesota. Shout out Brolo Chris.
yeah.
Now that would have really got my attention. So what do you think about Yanni
I
in
think I
Miami?
tend to agree with
Yanni in
everything.
Miami.
Yeah, I tend to agree with everything you said there. I thought like I thought he wanted to win, right? That's his whole like. It kind of goes
Right.
back to like what did Giannis want? Was this all kind of a waste in a lot of ways? Like obviously defensively, Bam and Giannis, that's a great pairing, but they're so thin now,
Yeah.
Wally. They have no shooting. I mean, I think I
Right.
think Windhorst said like this is not for this year, this is for the next year. But like Giannis is not getting any younger, and
Exactly.
and he's not less injury prone. So I don't, yeah, I guess it's good for the rest of the East and maybe the league because he didn't pair with a win now team, to really put pressure on other teams, I guess. So I don't know. It was long, the process. I feel a little bad for Milwaukee because they stretched
Oh,
Dame, they bring in Miles Turner, and for what? And I guess they got back a
right.
decent young
Nothing.
package, but like obviously, You know,
I hear they're probably going to move Hero. He's
yeah,
the
and I
big name
mean,
they got in that, and
yeah, and is he a
he
big name?
probably
Is he
won't
a
even
big
stay there.
name? He's gonna
No.
he's a lesser player of somebody we're gonna talk about a little bit in Austin Reaves, where
Yeah.
like you can put the ball in the basket, but you
Yeah.
know holds up even worse defensively, I think, than Austin Reaves. So
Hmm.
yeah, I guess let's see it. It'll be interesting to see. I do like Bam, but I don't think it's gonna be I don't think it's gonna be yeah, I don't if
It's not
they're
a
both
game changer.
healthy, like do they beat the Cavs? Do they beat Atlanta?
I think probably Atlanta Cavs. Yeah, I could see it going either way. But yeah, exactly. I don't think it makes the Heat a top, certainly not the top team in the East. I wouldn't say top two. Depends on what happens with the Celtics, and we could perhaps talk about that,
Yeah.
later, BBL study hall, depending on what goes down. But yeah, I just think it's he's in a better situation probably.
Mhm.
He's playing with a great coach.
Yeah.
That's definitely a plus for him. Hall
Yep.
of Fame coach, and Eric Spoelstra. So it'll be interesting to see how, Spoelstra, puts him in terms of their equation down there, if you will. But yeah, I think it's kind of a wash. Now, the breaking news today, while you're wearing that Lakers shirt,
Yeah.
Austin
So
Reaves, been a lot of chatter, a lot of hypotheticals, right? A lot of people saying, oh, you can't give this guy all this money. Well, the Lakers did that today. 4 years, $185 million, 46 and a quarter million per season.
wow.
We shall see. I was hoping he was going to come in at 40. My prediction was a 5 year, $200 million deal. So he left some total money on the table, although he does have a player option, from what I can recall hearing earlier. Um, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. I don't think it's a sure thing. Nothing is, frankly, except death and taxes, like Benjamin Franklin once said. But I'm optimistic
And
because
Luca whining to the refs. That's also a sure thing.
that needs to stop, of course. And he proved he could once he got to the limit. He proved that he could.
Okay. All right.
Um, I think what needs to be remembered, by, NBA fans, Lakers fans such as myself, particularly the skeptics, and the skepticism on Austin Reaves, I think is valid. I think he's going to have to overcome that. He's going to have to prove himself. Before he got hurt, though, I forget, I don't think it was an oblique. I think, maybe he had a hammy earlier this season. Whatever that injury was that took him out for like a month and a half. Before that, he and Luca were both averaging over 25 a game. Luca was at his like whatever 33, 34.
Yeah.
Austin was at like 28. The only other pair in the NBA that was both averaging 25 or more were the Claw and the Beard.
They had
All
good
right,
numbers. It was
across
a
town.
little the averages were a little inflated because of injury stuff, but they did have good numbers. I do you remember
Yeah, with
games
LeBron
where
being
they
out.
both do you remember games where they both just went off though? Like I'm a little fuzzy on that. Like I remember games where Reeves went
They
off
had at
when
least a
Luca
couple
was
of
out.
those.
A
But
couple. Okay.
that's the thing though, is they didn't really get to play a ton of games together because of the injuries.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
all of this goes back to you in March. Was that the month where they went off, February or March?
16-2, man.
That's where you saw the best ball, and so that's what you're banking on here. You know, of can that be rediscovered? I guess like you've said it for a while. Austin bet on himself, and he's getting paid. You know, and props to him for
Gotta feel
doing
good
it.
for that guy.
Yeah. And of course the challenge is going to be can you have those two dudes
Yeah.
defensively and can you put enough around them? You know, like obviously they can score the ball and they have good chemistry. They really do.
Great chemistry. That's why I
But
think the Lakers made this move.
I like
If
also
Luka
like
Doncic is the future, this is the guy Luka wanted on the team. You kind of
yeah.
had to do it.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is like, what was your other option? What other option do you have? Even if you don't, you had to sign him at least to be able to trade him too, right? Like otherwise you let him walk, like Caruso. Like, what's the other
Couldn't do
option?
that. Yeah, that would have
So
been terrible,
so
dude.
so the number you wanted a little bit lower to show like, oh, they negotiated. So good on Austin Reeves for getting his, but yeah, now you're
Yeah.
tighter than ever. And now what are you gonna do with LeBron, right? Like that's the
Yeah,
next
of
domino, isn't it?
course.
What do you think there? What are your thoughts?
What's
Or
interesting about, well, I think LeBron's coming back. I want him to come back. It will be interesting to see if that ultimately happens. What's interesting about this, I so appreciate people like Brian Windhorst, Bobby Marks, because this is complicated stuff. You know what
yeah.
I mean? I was not good at math in school. So once it starts
You
getting
all
into
right.
all of like, the capology, it can be a little difficult for me to keep up with it. But according to Bobby Marks, the deal is that Austin, because he's coming back to his team with, I believe, the bird rights. I believe that is correct when I say that. They still have 50 million in cap space. Now, that is not including what LeBron may or may not do, but the Lakers still have room to add. What's out there to potentially add is the question.
Yeah.
But I don't think it hamstrings them as much as you would think, off the surface. I mean, $46.25 million a year is a huge number. That's more than Luka is making at the moment. It's interesting. I'm sure I'm sure Austin's having a fun time with Luka in terms of that. How
Yeah,
about you
that's
start making as
wild.
much money as me, pal?
Yeah.
Please, the money that guy makes off the court, makes up for it and then some, meaning Luka, but Austin as well. That's, I'm all over the place with this because there's so many
No.
things to
Yeah.
consider. Like I felt that Austin Reaves should come back to the Lakers, unless they were just giving him a completely ridiculous lowball number because he likes playing here. It's
Yeah.
Los Angeles. I'm just here to tell you it's beautiful out here. It can get hot as hell without me up in the valley, but it's a great place to live. It's expensive, but obviously he's got the money now to spend. He's playing with, top five arguably player in the league, in the world with Luka. They have great chemistry. I think chemistry is a really underrated thing, man.
Yeah.
Like you look at any
You saw it with the
great
Knicks this year.
team,
I mean, the Knicks won this year with chemistry.
Knicks,
Yeah.
Thunder last year,
Yeah.
Spurs this year, that last Lakers championship team, if they didn't have good chemistry,
It's
they weren't
also
winning
it's
that
also connected,
championship.
right? Your chemistry, like
Yeah,
it's cyclical. You have good chemistry, you play well. You play well, the chemistry is easier. Like no bad team is having awesome like you're not losing and like, oh,
right.
our chemistry's so great, but we can't win.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, but there
they're
are
causing
there
it.
are some
It's a little
teams
chicken egg.
there
It's a
there
little
are
chicken and egg.
it's true, but I mean there are some teams that
Well, how was your
they have
chemistry? How
incredible
was your
talent
Laker
and
chemistry
they
last year? The outside noise was chaos, but the chemistry seemed
it
okay.
was solid.
Yeah, and you guys got out of the second
It was
round.
solid. It was
Or
really good.
and you got to the second round. You had a
Well, I mean,
successful
come on,
season.
man. Like
Yeah.
you're losing 33 points a game,
Yeah.
8 assists a
But
game, 8 rebounds a game. Like, please, like
that
that. That's the thing about this Reeves contract.
that's the problem
It's
too,
the what
Wally.
if.
Yeah, that's the problem is your leader is unknown. Like in if he comes
I
back
agree.
in shape
I
and he's
agree.
healthy and he's bought in and he plays a little defense and he stops whining, then I believe in the squad. But like I
Yeah,
mean, you said it yourself, you'd rather have Brunson than Luca today. Like like and that's
I would.
saying something because
I would.
Luca is a generational talent. He may be, if you boil everything down, he might be the most offensively gifted player we've ever seen if you really boil it down.
You could make an
His
argument.
his size, his strength, his shooting, his touch, his ability to get wherever he wants to draw a
Yeah,
foul. Like he's better than LeBron at offense. I mean, he's as good a shooter as KD. He's stronger. Like who is a
streaky.
bet? He's better than Dirk. Like who's a
Yeah,
better offensive player than this guy when he's going? But
yeah.
and Austin Reeves is a great offensive weapon. Like,
Oh,
yeah, I
fantastic.
take him over Tyler Hero. He's one of both of our favorite players, I think. Like, he's fun to watch, and
He is. I'm a
he
big Austin
tries
Reeves fan.
he tries on defense. But yeah, the 50 million you're citing. So Miami right now has 18.5 million to sign 5 open roster spots. That's clean. So the vet minimum's $3.5 million. So when you say 50 million, I don't know what that means. If that means you can get free agents, if that means you have to get guys that are like what's the mid-level exceptions? Like there is a lot of
That's something that's
confusing.
included in that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a confusing thing. So we'll see how it plays out. Obviously, you have the Lakers, you have Luca, you have LeBron. There's always a reason to go there. The name that's been kicked around, the New Orleans swing 3-and-D dude, blanking on his name right now. Help
Trey
me out.
Murphy.
Thank you, Trey Murphy. I know that's been
Yeah.
long. Lakers have wanted
He's not
him.
coming here.
I mean, I don't
I've
know.
never seen it. I'd
Well, I
love it.
don't.
It'd be
The
great.
the thing is, like, I don't know who is or isn't coming there. Is the option in the end just to run it all back? And do you want that? Like, where do like that's the piece. I guess like his career is gonna end at some point. Seemingly, this is probably his last year as a Laker, one way or the other. Would we
I
probably
think that's
say?
more likely than not.
And he was
I
good
think
for
it's
you
more
last
likely
year.
than not this is his last season.
We would both
He
agree.
was. He
We
was,
would
dude. He
both
won
agree.
that first round series.
I
Like
know,
like
like
people who like to hate on LeBron as Lakers fans.
no,
It does not make sense to me.
he was the most productive player for you when it mattered the
Like
most, which is saying something. Like,
insane.
yeah. So yeah, I on one hand, I'm thinking like we're gonna see some fireworks. Who knows what happens with Jaylen Brown? What happens with Minnesota? Like if they want to keep Ant, you can't lose Randall and not bring somebody else in and like think things are gonna go well. So there's a lot of weird dominoes
Right.
going. I hear some whispers of Kawhi Leonard even to the Lakers. Like I've heard that. Do those things happen, or with
For
the
the
second apron?
Lakers?
Yeah,
I've heard that
yeah,
he might go.
yeah.
Really?
With the
I don't know
second
about that.
apron, does nothing happen, or do these things start happening? And then that's going to be what's going to
Right.
make your team really interesting. Because at the end of the day, you still have DeAndre Ayton as your number one center. That's your problem, right? I mean, we can all agree, we can agree there. Like we,
If they can't work out a trade with him as a piece moving somewhere. See, right now, the name that the Lakers,
you want
has
Walker
been in the
Kessler,
ether, if you will, for a couple. I just get this feeling that they're
but
gonna
they,
somehow,
but
some way
that,
pull.
but Utah didn't draft Boozer. I think if they had drafted Boozer, like the fact they took Darren Peterson, they drafted a guard. Their
Yeah,
size
but they have
is
Triple
definitely
J,
yeah. But you need size in the
Jaron
West.
Jackson Jr., Laurie Marketing.
Who
That's
Jaron
your
Jackson Jr.
five
is
four.
Jaron Jackson Jr. is a terrible rebounder. Markkinen is a more of a 3 than a 5. He's a great shooter, but he's not interior.
Yeah,
That's why you need Walker Kessler. Like you need size in the West. You need size in the league. I mean, you just saw it. Like Cat and who's the big for New York is the only
sure,
reason they
that's
got
true.
past Wemby, right? Like
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah. Mitchell Robinson. The thing
yeah.
about Kessler, and again, it's like you got to take all this with a grain of salt, but I've been reading a lot about how he's not pleased, with the Jazz, and is looking to get out of there. So he could make the most money by staying there. I agree, having a lineup of Kessler at the 5, Jaren Jackson at the 4, Marking at the 3, got a
Or
lot of
even just
size going up
rotating, or even just
against,
rotating, like you just talked about
or
OKC
rotating.
with
That makes
Mara,
sense.
Hudson. Yeah, yep.
But if the guy doesn't want to stay there,
Well, yeah,
are you going to really, be paying, a malcontent, tens of millions of dollars a season when he's probably just going to disrupt what you're saying might be an ascendant Jazz team
yeah. I
with a
mean,
nice young backcourt? Now, Keontae George, that dude showed out
yeah,
last year. See
dude,
what the Darren Peterson kid can do.
yeah.
Laurie Markkinen's proven himself in the NBA. Jaren Jackson Jr., former Defensive Player of the Year. If Walker Kessler is going to bring that bad juju into that locker room, do you really want to hang on to that guy? So we'll see. I don't know.
I just think
Before we
that's
get off here, all right, because we
oh,
mentioned
let me just say this.
it's
Who is
wishful
the source?
thinking. I agree.
Who's the source on his discontentment? That just sounds like Laker fodder. Like I mean, like that just sounds
No,
like
these
wishful
aren't
thinking.
Laker folks. I can't think of names off the top of my head, but
Okay.
I've seen that repeatedly. Again, you're right. Who's to say, if it doesn't come from the horse's mouth?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Walker Kessler, he's out there. Yeah, I've seen Kawhi, that Kawhi might be someone who might move. Before we get off here, was there another name or two that you've been hearing about
Well,
that
I
could
want
make
to
this free
see.
agency
Yeah, I
legit
mean,
this summer?
I want to see what Minnesota does to appease Ant. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? You're just moving backwards. I still like. Did Denver do anything for Joker? That's a team like I still like. Is there
Yeah.
any world where Joker's like, all
They
right,
got to
I'm
bring
ready?
back I forget the name.
Yeah,
What's
you're
his face? The
Peyton
wing.
Watson. Peyton Watson, who's
Watson.
another
Yeah.
target for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Frankly, Wally, other than Giannis, we haven't seen anything really, other
For
than
the
like
Rockets might be sellers apparently.
correct.
They
Yeah.
might be looking to move
So does all this stuff
Durant
happen,
and or
or
Şengün.
does everybody just sit pat? Will be pretty interesting. But yeah, to catch the Spurs and OKC right now in the West, man, you got to load up. And that's why I think the Jazz keep him because I
Need
think you got to load
size.
up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. The other one I guess to keep ears to is the Blazers. I've heard a little Blazers Jalen Brown talk. So that they have some
Mm-hmm.
assets to move. I
Yeah.
don't. I
I've
don't.
also heard Anthony Davis as well, possibly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously the Jalen Brown stuff's going to be weird if he does stay or doesn't stay. How many years are we going to keep hearing they can play
Super
together?
weird.
Can't? Yeah, so I don't know. What he's a good player. I don't know why they
Yeah.
don't. Why wouldn't they just want to keep playing those two dudes together? They're proven
I
winners.
don't
The
know.
problem is that you have a
I know.
coach. You have a coach that just will live and die with a three, which you've cited many times. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not your
Of
players.
course.
It's that philosophy. So
You,
okay, why
you,
we want
you're
to wrap it up,
you're
big guy?
you're preaching to the biggest choir in the
Yeah.
universe over here. Yeah, absolutely, man. So, we got free agency coming up. I know they got the second round tonight. We'll see, what may or may not come out of that. But yeah, in the next B-ball study hall, hopefully, we get some more big names. I think
Yeah.
Jalen Brown's at the top of that list, right? And
Let's see who move.
we'll
Let's see
see.
who moves, and then otherwise we can start to kind of stack up of where we really think things are. Maybe there's not a lot of change. I wonder if the second apron is limiting change. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think
but
so.
we'll see.
All
Yeah.
righty, man. Always great doing. Great to see you, little man. Keep walking over there.
Say bye, Wally,
There you go.
and put a shirt
Yes,
on
sir.
next time,
Yes,
dude.
sir. All right,
Only
man. I'll catch.
shirtless one on this podcast is going to be Wally's. All right,
Love
Wally.
it. Love it. All right, man. I'll catch you on the
Have a
next
great
one.
day. Yep.
You too.